For today's lesson, we're going to combine lesson 1.5 and 1.6. They're a lot of review for us, so it shouldn't be too crazy. It has to do with adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing, real numbers, and fractions. So, as a way to kick off 1.5, which is the adding and subtracting, let's watch our favorite video first.
Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Check it. I got a problem, I gotta solve it. Adding integers with negatives. Take the absolutes, take the absolutes. Same sign add, different subtract. Well, is that all? No, the sign. If they were the same, keep it the same. But if they were different sign of the lawyer, y'all. If you got to sing the chorus, y'all. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Now there's a change, subtraction. You tried to trick me, but this is easy. Keep the first number, then change that minus sign to a plus, it's a game. Second number, change it to its opposite. That's what we do. What do you know? We're back to the start. It's now addition and you know this part. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Same signs add, different signs subtract. Same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger.
Alright, so that's the video we all know and love as a way to remember it. Now, it is slightly annoying at times, but it really does have a good message to it. Alright, same signs add. Alright, same thing goes if you have negatives, and negative 2 minus 4. They have the same signs, they're both negative, so add them together. 2 plus 4 is 6, and keep the sign. Alright, if they are different, say I have 4 minus 6, subtract them. So 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 is bigger, keep the sign of the larger. Or 7 plus negative 3. Alright, subtract them. 7 minus 3 is 4. Keep the sign of the larger, so it's a positive. Alright, now let's look at what happens if we have fractions. You don't need to see my lesson plans. Alright, so what if we have fractions? 1 second here to get a little more bored. Alright, so if we have fractions, say I want to add 1/2 plus 1/3. Now, if we have fractions, we have to make sure we have a common denominator if we're going to add or subtract. Find a common denominator, we have to find the least common multiple for the two things that are on the bottom. So right now I have a 2 and a 3. The least common multiple is going to be 6. So I want to rewrite both of these fractions to have a denominator 6. So if I have a 2 here, I had to multiply that by 3. Do it to the bottom, have to do it to the top as well. So 3 times 1 is going to be 3. Here, I have a 3. I want to make it a 6, so I had to multiply by 2. Do it to the bottom, do it to the top. So now I have 3 6 plus 2 6. I add straight across the top. You get 5 over 6. All right. Now if I want to subtract two numbers, say I have 7/8 minus 1/4. Again, I have to find a common denominator. So to find a common denominator, looking at the 8 and 4, the least common multiple of 8 and 4 is going to be 8. So I want both of these guys to have a denominator of 8. If I'm going to do that, this one I didn't have to multiply by anything or multiply by 1. Either way you want to look at it. This one here, from 4 to 8, I have to multiply by 2. If I do it by the bottom, do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top as well. 2 times 1 is 2. This one I'm bringing down to 7. So when I subtract across the top. 7 minus 2 is 5. And the bottom stays the same. So 5/8 would be the answer there. And that's how you add and subtract when you have a fraction. Now, multiplication. Multiplication of two numbers. If I have 4 times a negative 2, they have different signs. So if I have one positive, one negative, and I multiply, my answer is always going to be negative. So in this case, 4 times 2 is 8. One's a negative, the 2 is a negative, so my final answer has to be a negative. If I multiply two positive numbers together, final answer is going to be positive, so this case would be 20. If I multiply two negative numbers together, so negative 3 times negative 4, 3 times 4 is 12. When I multiply two negatives together, I get an answer that is positive in the end. All right, let's look at it with fractions. So if I have 3/4 times 1/2. So if I have multiplication of fractions, you multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. So 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Simplify if possible, but this is already in lowest forms. So it's 3 times 8. I just multiplied across the top and multiplied across the bottom. Division is slightly different. So if I have 2/3 divided by 3/4, if you had Mr. Spar in the past, he probably told you to keep it, switch it, and flip it method. Mr. Spar uses this, and I know Mrs. Latin uses this as well, so we'll use it ourselves. So the first one, you have to keep it, 2/3. Switch it, I need to switch the sign from division to multiplication, and flip it is the second fraction. I need to flip what it originally was. All right, so I took 3/4, flipped that to get 4/3. So now it's back to multiplication like I did over here. Multiply across the top. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9. Simplify if possible. In this case, 8 over 9 doesn't simplify any farther. It doesn't change at all for multiplication. If you have a negative number, so if I have negative 1/3 times 3/4, one's negative, one positive, my answer has to be negative. Multiply the tops. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. This one here would simplify. They would both simplify by 3. So I'd end up with negative 1/4. All right, so that's how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide real numbers and fractions. If you have any questions as you're going through your assignment, feel free to come back and look at the video as much as you need. Pause wherever you need, and good luck.